It's Happy Hour again from Uptown New Orleans. Hello, I'm Grant Morris. Happy Hour is part of the family of shows on the podcast network. It's neworleans.com. When you walk into a bar in New Orleans and you pull up a bar stool, you never know who's going to be sitting on either side of you. What you do know is no matter what they look like, what they're wearing, whether they just got out of a limousine or just got out of jail, they're going to be happy to talk to you. Because that's New Orleans and this is Happy Hour. It's a cocktail-fueled 60 minutes of random conversation with folks who have nothing in common. Other than we're all New Orleanians in a bar today, we're at the fabulous Wayfair on Ferret Street, which is a couple of blocks down from Napoleon Avenue. And if you're looking for it, it's on the sort of left-hand side going towards Jefferson, and you can tell what's going on because they have a 4-hour happy hour here every single day where drinks are half price and bar food is half price as well. Correct, Andr Duhon?
Sweet deal.
Thank you very much. And they have an awesome brunch on the weekends.
That they do.
And welcome back, Andrew.
Thanks,
Haven't
buddy.
seen you for a whole week. We've got a lot to catch up on, including your trip to the Middle East. Happy Hour is brought to us today by Strategic Resumes. If you want to sharpen up your resume or your LinkedIn profile or your other job search skills, give them a call or check them out online at Strategic Resumes if you'd like to go away. Start your travel search at Travel Central in Metairie. You can sort of call them up or go online. It's kind of like going on Expedia or Kayak. Are you familiar with that, Charlie?
I am not.
You've never been on Expedia?
I've been on Expedia and Kayak, but I'm not familiar
Well,
with
then there were these guys, Travel Central, it's like going on Kayak or Expedia, except they do it for you.
Oh, awesome.
And it's still free.
I was on Kayak today.
Where were you going?
I'm not going anywhere. I'm trying to get a drummer to go to Atlanta with me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, we must be able to find a drummer here somewhere, all right? It is New Orleans after all. This is the world-famous Charlie Wooton is here with us today, one of the great bass players of all time, but we'll get on to that in a minute. Hey, what else? Basic Swim and Gym also have made the show possible today. We can get a full range of fashion swimsuits, workout, and yoga clothes with style. Basic Swim and Gym is next to the lingerie store. Basics underneath on Magazine Street near Jefferson Avenue. When's the last time you bought lingerie, Cecelia?
Well, you know,
Think
not that long ago.
Not that long ago.
No.
What did you buy?
Well, come on.
Come on, it's
That's
personal.
personal.
That's personal. Cecelia Fernandes is here from, what's it called, the name of your gallery?
It's 818, Gallery 818.
818. Gallery 818 on Royal Street.
Yes.
Is it at 818 Royal Street?
Yes, it's at
It
818
is.
Royal Street.
That's easy to remember. That
Yeah,
way. You
well-
just have to remember Royal Street that way.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And also thanks to Hangover Destroyer, the only all-natural product medically proven to prevent a hangover. You go to hdestroyer.com and you're at Happy Hour. On the coupon code, you'll get 30% off of Hangover Destroyer. And you too can seize the dawn. And thank you to the Positive Vibrations Foundation, who create and encourage community through the development and preservation of the arts, music, culture, and heritage. And thank you too if you're a part of our Patreon family. If you're not part of our Patreon family and you'd like to be, go to patreon.com and search for It's New Orleans Happy Hour. And for as little as $1 a month, which is about the same as you buy milk biscuits for people in other countries. Starving children. Graham Bosworth, are you familiar with sponsoring starving children?
I am. I don't know what a milk biscuit is.
You don't know what a milk biscuit is? Are you serious? Do you know what a milk biscuit is, Andrew?
Only from context, but no.
Cecelia,
never
have you heard of milk biscuits?
No, that sounds terrible.
Is that like milk bone?
And Arsene Delay is here as well. Hi, Arsene. Well, you're not allowed to say anything. Okay. A milk biscuit is something that they give like a food aid.
Okay.
You know, like
like simple
for people who
cheap
are
calories.
starving to death, literally.
MREs
Yeah.
or something.
Is that right? C-Rock, am I right about that? C-Rock can look it up for us.
You're putting everyone on the spot.
I'm
Grant.
pretty sure that's what a milk biscuit is. Anyway, so Graham Bosworth is here as well. Graham, you're the only person I didn't introduce yet. And you're my favorite guest because you're a judge.
I was a judge.
So we have to be nice to you because you're the guy we've been looking for a long time. Everybody needs to know somebody.
You
to
met me
get
like
off.
23 years ago.
I met you. Yeah, that's a
That's
great
true.
story. We just found that out today. So 23 years ago, I was on the radio on the Zephyr, on the radio station, and this guy came into the station one afternoon. I was on from 3 to 6 in the afternoon. This guy came in, and he'd been smoking weed, or he had some weed with him, and he was smoking it in the studio or
Not
something.
me.
Which
Let's be clear, though. It wasn't me.
let's just be clear about that. In those days, it was okay to smoke weed in a radio station. In fact, it was pretty much required.
Right.
And anyway, this kid, how old was this guy at this point?
We were seniors in high school.
He was a senior in high school. So he walked into the studio, which was on the ground floor. You could walk right, anybody could just walk in. And he passed out on the floor right in front of me in the studio. And I said, I think this guy's dead. I thought he was dead. And nobody came to see. Nobody came to check on him.
I think I called the radio station.
Did you?
I was listening to the radio when you said, "Oh my God, I think he's dead." And I was like, "John's dead."
And he stayed there on the floor till the end of my shift at 6 o'clock when the Ross man came in. And he stayed there. I don't know how long he was there for, but he
Long
became known as the dead guy. And this is the dead guy's best friend.
Yep.
How about that? And now the dead guy's best friend turned into a judge. Only in
Kind
New
of.
Orleans.
Have you had to get the dead guy off? That sounded very.
Fair question.
I'm glad that we could say anything on this program because that sounded weird.
Yeah, you mean
Sorry.
I think the dead
you,
guy's on
you
the straight
didn't
and
mean
narrow
get him
these
off
days.
sexually. You
Yeah,
weren't suggesting
I
that.
did
were
not
you?
mean it, but
No.
as soon as it came out,
Yeah,
it was
you-
like about right here.
Shouldn't have.
He went
yeah.
from dead guy to the guy who passed out. So
Okay.
no, he's good these days.
All right.
He's not. Anyway, that's how we met originally.
Yeah, a long
and then
time
you
ago.
went on to go to law school, I guess, and become a lawyer.
I did.
And how did you get to become a judge?
I got appointed. Actually, I ran for judge against the longest-serving, I think, judge in the country. He was supposed to
Who's
have.
that? No, it's my phone.
Sounds like a dead guy.
You ran.
He was supposed to have retired, and then he changed his.
Who was that?
Frank Marula, and
Frank Marula.
He changed his mind, and I
You
didn't
ran
win.
against him
Not
when
on
you
purpose.
when you thought he wasn't going to run.
Yep.
So you thought it was an open seat,
Was supposed to be an open seat.
and then he
And-
changed his mind because he figured he didn't want you winning.
Well, he's constitutionally barred from serving, so nobody expected him to run, and then he ran anyway, and then he was removed by the Supreme Court.
Wow.
And then I was asked by the Supreme Court eventually to sit in the seat that I'd run for and lost while they did a special election. And I didn't run in the special election because my wife was pregnant. She said if I ran again at that point, she'd kill me.
Right.
So I served as judge for 6 months for the seat that I lost for.
What a bizarre story! Is that an only in New Orleans type story? Or
I don't know, I
is-
think there might be only Louisiana. I'm not sure if it's
That's
specifically.
really weird.
No.
Okay, so first of all, how does a judge get to run for a seat that he's constitutionally barred from running for?
You're going to have to ask Louisiana Supreme Court. I don't know.
You're as close as anyone's ever going to get to be able to answer this question for us. How are you allowed to be constitutionally
The court,
barred from running and run for
the court
a
said the
judge?
mere fact that you couldn't serve didn't preclude you from running.
Okay, all right.
I don't know.
By that same logic, if you're only 12 years old, it shouldn't
No,
preclude
because
you
there's
from getting into
specific
a
rules
bar.
that say your age.
Right, but you should be able to get into a bar at 12, shouldn't you? If you,
I wasn't barred
by
at
the
12.
same logic. Well, of course, you were. But, by the same logic, right?
I get look.
Just because it's illegal doesn't mean I'm not allowed to do it.
kind of, yeah.
That is just fucking ridiculous.
Well, no, I think by that logic, the 12-year-old can show his ID to the bouncer, but he can't go in and drink.
Yeah, but
Or
if
even
you're gonna
go
f-
in.
But if this is just any kind of
You
legal
can't serve.
precedent, if you could,
I grew up in Lafayette. That's not true.
Charlie, you did grow up in Lafayette. Where did you go from Lafayette?
I went to Los Angeles and then Atlanta.
Okay,
And then I made it back to
and now
Louis-
you're living in New Orleans.
Yes, I am.
That's an interesting circuitous route.
I went to Los Angeles so I wouldn't have to ask myself what if for the rest of my life.
Right. What if I could be
What
a
if
star?
What if I didn't go?
Right.
What
you
would
wanted
have
to be
happened?
you wanted to be a superstar.
Just wanted to play bass. I don't know
Well,
about being a superstar.
Right.
But I just
So
wanted
what
to
were
play
you
bass.
what were you looking for in Los Angeles that you couldn't get in Lafayette?
Just people who I strive to play with at the time.
Right.
Who I got to meet and do a bunch of cool things. I worked at a rehearsal studio called Third Encore, and the owners were the guys who used to roadie for the Eagles. So everybody in the world came through, and I met all my heroes and mentors, and got to jam with some of them. I was very, very young at the time, so I didn't do much playing, but I worked at a studio. I got to see what it was like and realize that I do not want to live in Los Angeles, California. That I found out.
What put you off it mostly? The people, the drugs, or the cars?
No, the people turned me off. The drugs turned me on. And then the traffic, It's just, man, when I moved there, I didn't know I was speaking Cajun French slang until I got there, and people kept saying, "What are you saying? What are you talking?" So, yeah, it was definitely a
What kind of words would you say that nobody could understand?
"Mercade des dents."
I don't get that one.
Means
Do you guys know what that means? Cecelia?
No idea. I've never heard that in my whole life.
How do you spell it even?
oh, I don't know how to spell it.
Say it again. Maybe we can.
Mercade des dents means to look at that.
Does
look
it?
At that.
Mercadedon.
There you go.
Andrew, that's pretty good. Well, Andrew's name is Duhon. So,
Duhon.
Duhon. So that's
you gotta
pretty.
do your right. He knows
That's
what
pretty
I'm talking
Cajun. I'm trying to write that down, but I wouldn't even know how to
about.
start.
I couldn't tell you.
You don't write French. You only speak it.
Correct.
Do you speak
I
French?
don't know.
Or
I
just
only
words.
spread French slang growing up. My grandparents, my mom and papa spoke fluent French. Didn't learn English till they went to school. My mom spoke it, but they kept putting the language down, and my papa couldn't speak it at school. He had to just speak English.
Right.
So by the time our generation came around, they're like, "Oh my God, it's lost. We're going to try to bring it back," but it's kind of late. You know what I mean? So they're still trying to bring it back, but it's just one of those things. You live in America, speak English.
Yeah, but there is a cool thing to have that Cajun French
Oh,
language.
it's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there were a whole generation of people who did speak it. I guess they have that organization. Is it called Codafil?
I'm not sure.
That's
I don't know.
all about the Cajun language, French immersion speaking.
I don't know.
So anyway, there
Sorry, I can't
there you
help you
were.
on that one.
There you were in Los Angeles playing with all your heroes. Did you have like a real gig there? I mean, apart from that recording studio, did you have a band?
No, I just worked at the studio and did a few gigs here and there, and that's kind of why I left, because I wanted to do some more play. I just wanted to get back to the South and ended up moving to Atlanta.
Right.
And stayed there
And
for
then
15 years.
And then 15 years.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a
Yeah.
long time.
I'm
Wow.
old.
Were you playing in Zydeco that whole time? Has that band been going for 15 years?
That is my band that I started. That band's probably been going on for 20 years.
20 years.
Yeah.
Holy shit! Have you guys ever heard Zydeco?
I have not.
Have you ever heard it?
I haven't.
It's the most amazing thing you've ever. It's like as far along the scale as Zydeco could ever get.
Right.
It's as good as it's ever going to get.
Right.
Oh, wow.
It's right at the very musical end of Zydeco.
Well, it's a
you
combo-
couldn't get any
it's-
more musical than that.
The name Zada Funk is a combination of Zydeco and New Orleans funk. It's all basically Louisiana music, Southern Louisiana music. That since I was in Atlanta, I didn't have to stay true to each style, and we kind of combined the styles together. And living in Atlanta, I just kind of capitalized that market of Louisiana music in the Southeast. If you didn't want to come to New Orleans to get it,
Okay.
so
You
I
were-
was
you were
basically
it.
missing home
Right.
when I started the band. You know, did a lot of Neville's, a lot of meters, and then I moved back to New Orleans. And next thing I know, I'm touring with Cyril Neville for 4 years. I'm hanging out with George. I'm playing for Monk, and so Zada Funk is going to do a new record, and it's going to feature all my heroes that I used to listen to when I was a kid that I ended up playing with after moving here.
That's going to be really cool.
It's going to be awesome.
So what are you working on now?
Right now, I'm working on a Charlie Wooton project CD called Blue Basso. Basso is Italian for bass.
Okay.
Basically, I'm going to have all the ways of saying bass in every language on the record, and it's sort of a blues funky record that my manager wanted me to do, because I do a lot of world music, a lot of different things. But I toured with the band called Royal Southern Brotherhood for 4 years
That's
in the
the
blues
Cyril
world.
Neville
Yeah.
band, right?
And so they just want to get me back on the blues circuit right now.
And
with this
Devin
record.
Allman, right? Isn't he in
Yep.
that group too?
Yep.
Hey, Thomas. They want you to make some money for them. Is that what you're saying?
Well, for myself.
For yourself? Is that where the money is in blues? I'm surprised.
The money's, I wouldn't, it depends. I mean, if you can get on top of the blues genre, you're going
Right.
to make a good
you
living.
can do okay.
Yeah. And I got the wonderful Miss Arsene Delay right
Arsene
here.
Delay's
who
with
is-
us over
Who
here.
is going to sing on the record.
Oh, are you really? Are you going to sing right now for us?
I can.
Okay. Let's do something then.
Already?
Okay.
Sure.
What do you want to play?
Actually, we're going to do one of Arsene's songs called Little Altars.
Okay. You guys have never heard anything like this before. I mean, this guy's a bass player like, Bill Gates is a software developer. Can we hear okay?
Another dance around the sun. Standing at the crossroads, wondering which way I should run. Another year I'm left behind. Living like an old ghost drifting in and out of time. Trace your footsteps down the towns away. Search the walls, whispering answers. Little altars everywhere. Little altars everywhere. Little altars everywhere. Little altars everywhere.
That is frankly crazy. Isn't it? Didn't you think? Were you expecting that?
I'm not sure if I had
Sandalite, thank you so much. That was
Thank you.
beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Charlie
I'll bring
Wooton.
her along so I can sound
Yeah.
like that.
Both of you are just so incredible, right? Wouldn't you say? Cecelia,
it's
what did you think?
amazing.
Wasn't
Oh,
it?
yeah,
It's
yeah,
transporting,
yeah, really
isn't it?
enjoyed it. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah,
How are you
that's
going to
great.
keep your headphones on with that hairdo like
I
that?
can't. I know. I just tucked it to the back.
You got a lot of hair
It'll
on the top of
fix.
your head there. I
Yeah,
just
I know.
noticed that. That was really, really extraordinary. How did you learn to play like that? Did you just play like that? Can you just do it, or did you learn from?
Hours
did you watch
and
Jaco
hours.
Pastorius videos?
I did watch a lot of Jaco Pastorius videos. Absolutely.
Holy crap! I've never
mean,
seen anyone play like that. Not
um,
right next to me. Have you, Andrew? You've had a lot of music.
I don't hear the electric bass a whole lot, and it's really nice to see somebody be articulate, on the electric bass.
Beautiful.
Thank
isn't
you.
it?
You're welcome.
Yeah, it's extraordinary to see someone play that well.
I appreciate it.
Isn't it? I mean, really, it's mind-blowing. I think to sit here at a
I feel
table
like
like this.
I can't judge.
You can't tell.
A friend of mine is a professional bass player, and he blows my mind too. I can't,
Really?
Yeah.
I don't. You see a lot of people playing bass, but not like that. Not musically. Not have that kind of musicality.
Well, thank you.
Comes from I don't know what the hell you get that from.
I don't know if you do. Do you really see a lot of people playing bass? Because I don't know if you do. I don't know if you do.
Not like that. And you went to school on a baseball scholarship. Originally.
I had a basketball scholarship that they wouldn't allow me to take it because of my music scholarship.
Where'd you at?
It was just in Hammond.
What
at
was your position?
Southeastern. Oh, center field.
I was a
Nice.
center fielder.
Cool.
Yes.
And
Yes.
Graham
I went to-
Bosworth, Judge Graham Bosworth is also a center fielder.
Is
Went
that
to
right?
college to go play baseball.
Where
They-
at?
New Hampshire. They killed the team under Title IX.
Title IX. What does that mean?
Equality in funding in men's and women's programming.
You mean they had to have a women's baseball team, or there couldn't be a men's baseball team?
They had to have an equal number of teams, male and female, and they killed the baseball program when I was there.
What was the mascot?
The Wildcats.
Okay. That's
They
pretty
not-
generic.
Why didn't they just start another baseball team for women or something else? Why kill one?
They killed it.
Well, you've got some weird stories. That is pretty crazy. First of all, you run for a seat that doesn't exist. Well, you didn't run, and then you get appointed to it.
Yep.
So I mean, you were a judge for how long? Then?
6 months.
That's it.
That's it.
And then what happened when it was over? Why didn't you want to run again? Because your wife told you
I
weren't
may
allowed
run
to.
again in 2020.
You might.
Yep.
Okay. So you still have the Twitter account, Graham Bosworth for Judge. I found that.
I have a Twitter account.
It says Graham Bosworth for Judge. Look up. C-Rock, look it up. Yeah, I don't think there's anyone. I don't think you have any followers. Yeah.
Well, there you go.
But it's sitting there because I just was looking for it before the show. Cecelia, do you have a Twitter account for your business?
No, I don't.
What do you do to get out there
I
on
don't
social
know.
media?
My
You don't
husband
know?
does most of
Your
that
husband does it
stuff.
all? What do
Yeah.
you do?
What do I do?
You're a photographer.
I do all the rest of the stuff.
But you're a photographer as well as a.
No, I don't
You're
actually.
right.
Well, I mean, I take some pictures, but I would not necessarily qualify myself as a photographer. He's definitely the photographer.
Okay.
I'm more of the person that I organize things. He and I work together as a team, and how it kind of works is we make some fine art stuff together, and it's called C+J. We make these diptychs together, and so a lot of times I work kind of on more the conceptual end, and I also do a lot of directing. I'm bossy.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it works out.
And what is a diptych?
Okay, so diptychs are, goes back actually quite a long period of time. It's when you take two photographs or two images and they work together to tell a story.
Oh, okay.
So, historically, like when you go into a chapel, there are three images, one in front of you and two on the sides, and you read them. So a diptych is just taking two images and they both serve the same purpose. So next to one another, they kind of tell an entire story.
What would be a
As
good
opposed
example?
to the triptych in the church, correct?
Exactly,
That's what
that's
you
right. It's the same
Yeah.
concept, yeah.
And what would be a good example of a diptych?
A good example of a diptych. That's a good question because not many people use them. But if you noticed, not to be too political, but recently there was a whole issue about changing the American embassy to, all of the
In-
stuff to like
in what
to
country?
Jerusalem.
Oh, in Israel,
Yeah.
from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem.
Right.
Okay.
So a lot of images there use the image of Donald Trump's daughter and
Ivanka.
and the image of the guys that are actually in protest, the Palestinians,
Palestinians.
and everything that was going on, and he placed them right next to one another. So that was the way to tell the story of the entire conflict. It was like,
But aren't you
okay,
bringing the
this side,
story
that
to
side.
that, though, as the viewer? You're bringing the story to it. You're saying she is something and this other guy is something else. But
Sort of. I guess you could say you bring your own story into it, but when we see that always, every day, right?
Right.
Everything that happens right now, something can happen at this table, and I'll see it one way, you'll see another way, and
Right.
you'll see it another way. So it's always like that. So technically, we're always kind of seeing things differently. However, in the diptych situation, I do, as the artist, get the opportunity to place things in a way to make you contemplate it better, to make
Right.
you think more about it. Like, okay, what does that mean for these two images to be next to one another? What is the story behind this, and what's actually being said here? So when you look at the diptychs, you're really reading them, and you're looking for all the clues of what the artist is saying and what's being said to you, and also even in yourself. So oftentimes they will question your beliefs. At least my diptychs do.
Are you literally just juxtaposing two images, or are you manipulating the images somehow, adding anything?
I do mild manipulation to them because in my diptychs I join them. So oftentimes my diptychs are not just separate images that sit next to one another and speak. They oftentimes reach into each other's space.
Okay. Yeah.
So I connect them oftentimes
Yeah.
so that they can to speak about the fact that it's not as separate as we imagine the
Got it.
issues to be. Oftentimes they're much more connected.
you're pulling two disparate images together to try and make a statement about.
Sometimes they're completely different. Other times they kind of echo the.
Are you
the
taking the
narrative.
photos, or are you finding the images?
Oh no! My husband's the photographer.
takes the photos
yeah,
and
he
you
takes
stick them
most of the
together.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And what kind of drugs are you taking?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you have to get high to do
I don't
this,
even
or can
take
you do?
aspirin.
You don't even really.
I don't take
Do
aspirin.
you get a headache ever?
I do get headaches. I
What
take
do
a
you
nap.
Take a nap. Is that right?
Yeah.
Can you go to sleep with a headache?
Oh yeah.
Really, I can't do that. Can you get to
That's the
sleep with a
first thing
headache?
I do is go to
I
sleep.
can go to sleep.
Anytime?
I can sleep right now for about 5 minutes while y'all talk to each other and come right back.
Are you always tired, Charles?
Just traveling around them
Right.
as much as I do. You just, when you're tired, you sleep because you don't know when you're going to sleep again.
Is that right? Are you up all night mostly?
Yeah. I stay up late. It's just, it's a creative time.
Right.
There's a creative period
At
that
night.
you kind of, if I go too far, then I got to get up and go do something.
Right. What time do you go to bed normally, like in the morning when the sun comes up?
Oh, 3 or 4,
3 or 4.
sometimes
Okay.
5 or 6 if you had a gig that night. Then you might have to wake up at 8 or 9 and do something, so you take a nap in the afternoon, and you just, like I said. And if you're traveling a lot and you're in planes and then a bus and then wherever in your different city every day, and they're getting you up and you're exhausted, you just sleep where you can.
Right. What kind of a life is that? Is it fun or?
You know, it looks good on Facebook.
Everything looks good on Facebook, though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Especially when you're in other countries, you're like, oh, you know, and then you come home and start complaining, and you realize I've asked for this.
Yeah.
I asked for this, so don't complain. No, it's beautiful and it's wonderful, but everything has its other side. You know what I'm saying?
But you play for a couple of hours a day, like at night. I mean, like 2 or 3 hours a night. But the
Yeah.
other 21 hours are pretty much purgatory by the time.
Living with the same people day in and day out is it's a challenge. It's interesting.
It is.
Yeah. That's why I'm starting my own band again. That way I can pick and choose who I travel with. Our sin travels very well.
So who's in the new band? What's the new band called?
Well,
What
both
about-
bands have been around forever, but I'm starting new. The Charlie Wooton Project always do different stuff, and so this project is with our sin Jamal Watson, who has played with Dirty Dozen, right? He's played with everybody around town. He also teaches at a school here. Keiko Komaki. She's from Japan, but she lives here, and she tours with Playing for Change. Are you familiar with the Playing for Change movement?
Graham?
It's-
I'm not? No.
Just go to YouTube, put Playing for Change. You've probably seen the videos where this guy goes all over the world and records street musicians.
Ah, this is the guy, and he joins them all together.
Yeah, and they have a whole movement. They've opened up schools in third world countries. September 15th is Playing for Change Day. We will be in Atlanta. Zada Funk will be playing. I'll have Arsene and Keiko with me there, playing at Northside Tavern. But this particular project, Charlie Wooton Project, has Daniel Groover, who's from Atlanta, Georgia. He's like my right-hand man. He's coming down and doing the stuff. And then we're going to feature a bunch of guitar players. I got Oliver Wood from the Wood Brothers, Sonny Landreth. I think Tab Bonmois playing on it. Trying to get Zach Brown on it and some
These are
different
people who are going to be on the record.
Yeah, special
Okay.
guests.
Okay, and when's the record coming out? What is the name of this? And what is it? The
Charlie Wooton Project. The name of the record is Blue Basso.
Blue
and
Basso.
it'll be coming out around February.
Okay, February 2019. Okay, well,
Yeah.
we've got plenty of time to get that, figure
Sure
out how to
enough.
steal that. Okay, very good. And so Andrew has just been in Israel talking about Ivanka Trump and the Palestinians.
Yeah.
What the heck were you doing in Israel?
Well, I just feel like we should take over the entirety of the Holy Land so that we can have the second coming of Christ. And
that's what it's going to take. Do we have to take over the Holy Land for Christ to come
that's
back?
what the
Is that-
Zionists say. Yeah.
Do they?
Yeah.
So what do we have to do?
No, okay, yeah. The Zionists
When is
believe that the Jews should take the entirety of Israel over again.
The whole thing.
The whole thing, because they are the
The
chosen
historical
people.
Judea and Samaria and all
Jesus
that.
won't ride back in on his white horse to save us all until the Jews take over the entirety of Israel.
really?
That's a real thing.
And
Well,
how
wait a second. The Jews don't even believe in Jesus as the Savior.
I'm
Good-
sorry.
good point.
Sorry. that was right.
Thomas.
Yeah.
Thank God someone knows something about theology.
The Jewish rapture, whatever you call that thing,
But
the
Jews
coming,
don't. But
right?
Thomas is right. The Jews don't believe. in
Right. So it's not Jesus coming down on the white
Well,
horse. That's
Jesus
wrong.
was a Jew.
Yes,
I'm
He was a
confused.
Jew.
he
a
was.
Jew.
Was
I'm
this
confused.
That's right.
this the question that Grant asked?
I know. I just said, what were you doing in Israel? But
No, yeah, I
is a-
made all of that up. I didn't make not
Where did you
historically
ha-
speaking.
where did
That
you
wasn't
find
why I
out
was
about
there.
this?
That's why. Well, I grew up in Lafayette. It's Catholic, and I thought the
Yeah.
other religion was Baptist.
Yeah,
There's
right.
other stuff out there.
Yep, that's it.
Oh.
But the Jews believe in the Messiah returning.
Yeah, okay,
but
that's
it's just
it.
not. It's not.
It's not Jesus. Yep, that's right.
And the Christians believe that there's a Messiah returning, and it is Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And is there an Islamic Messiah?
Oh,
Does anybody know
is there a
that?
second
Isn't
coming
that
for
not
Islam? I don't
Muhammad?
know.
Is
I don't
Allah?
know about that.
Is Muhammad coming back?
I don't know that there's a second coming story for Islam or not.
I don't know.
Don't know.
I don't know either.
But-
Well, Judaism. Who is actual Messiah in Judaism? They don't know who it is. I don't think.
I guess not.
You're
Right.
Jewish, man. You
I
should-
ought to know. There was a guy in New York. There was a guy in New York, Rabbi Schneerson. You ever heard of this guy? He said that he was the Messiah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
and
maybe I
then
heard
and
of
then he
this guy.
died, but
Yeah.
he never came back again. So
Right.
that was the end of that story.
Ah, well.
But that was the last one that claimed he was the
I met
Jewish
a guy
Messiah.
on Claiborne under the bridge just claiming to be the Messiah, and I sort of believe
Hey,
him.
that guy plays bass there.
Yeah, probably great.
Have you seen that guy playing bass?
No.
there? On the
Oh,
corner?
the guy on
Yes.
on
On Carrollton.
He's got a drum set, bass, everything.
Does he actually play, or does he just kind of pantomime?
No, he plays.
Yeah. Yeah, he shreds.
I think he plays along with the radio station, like 95.7.
At least he's doing something besides asking.
Yeah.
You know?
He's playing a lot. He's got a good gig. He's right by Costco, too.
Probably makes more money than me.
He's got a compound set up out there.
Yeah, he's got a dog.
The clothesline that lets the dog roam,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah.
He's got his golf clubs.
He does?
Yeah.
I've seen him play golf.
Have you seen this
you
guy,
must
Cecelia?
golf. You must golf if you live under the bridge. Right.
You have to have that.
Yeah.
Yeah. This guy's got it going on. So what were you doing in Israel for real?
I was with a group of 50 musicians and music business people from the United States that they selected to go over to Israel.
Who selected?
It's a company called Reality Music, funded by a family called the Schustermans, who are bazillionaires who decided to throw their money at different elements. This one in particular was musicians going over to Israel to talk about the fraught, complex situation over there, leadership in general, how we make the world a better place, and that sort of thing.
Okay, so the propaganda aspect of that is you're supposed to come back and then go on a podcast and tell people what exactly?
Yeah. So the first thing they told us was, you're expecting an ulterior motive here, and we didn't really get one. It was literally
There's
about
a message.
No, they were
What?
the message was, do better things in your community because you're capable of it, and you're being selfish and you're not doing it, and you should see how history is repeating itself right here. You know, go to the Syrian border and talk about that, and some really heavy stuff. We met a Holocaust survivor, and that was probably the heaviest thing of all. But just an amazing group of musicians and music biz people, and we really dug in and asked some hard questions and got vulnerable. We laughed, we cried. We
Did you go for a swim?
bonded. Yeah, went for several swims. Dead
nice.
Sea, which is
Dead
pretty wild.
Sea, oh, nice.
And you don't put it together until you get there. Everybody knows you don't sink in the Dead Sea, right?
Right.
But
Wait, why don't you sing in the Dead Sea?
because it's
Salt.
so
salty.
Too much
right.
salt.
It's so salty that you can't possibly sink.
That's
You
a good
actually.
Oh, I thought you said sing. I'm sorry.
Oh,
No.
right.
Ah,
Grant, last week you were asking
yes.
if Andrew went on Birthright. This
Yeah,
sounds
that's
like
what we
Birthright for musicians.
well, but what is the deal with birthright, Xerox? What's the concept
It's
behind
free, and they show you all the wonderful things they
that?
have
But
to
it's
offer.
for young Jewish
Yeah.
kids who are at a vulnerable age where they hope that some of them will move back to Israel, right?
Or they hope that some of them will support Israeli politics in America.
Okay,
Like
but
AIPAC.
they don't want anything for this.
No. And you don't have to be Jewish.
Apparently not.
They take a Cajun. You know? Yeah.
Okay. What do you think of the whole
It was-
situation over there?
Well, it's complex and fraught. I read 3/4 of Thomas Friedman's Beirut to Jerusalem book to try to, because I was woefully ignorant of the situation before I went. Studied up and then lost the book while I was on the trip, so I got to find it again.
Yeah, you
But,
got to finish that last piece.
Yeah, I really do. But as they said, I return with more questions than answers. So I'm going to do my own research and see if I really, if I gain an opinion in terms of the politics of the
Did you
situation.
get
But
any idea from anybody about what a solution might be over there? Because we
Well-
talk about a two-state solution here. What are
Right.
they talking about?
Yeah, they're talking about a two-state solution. The problem is their leader is more worried about politics than a two-state solution.
Right.
So while the people are interested in that, we went to the last day of a festival, a big show. The Israeli orchestra, Jerusalem Orchestra, I think, played and backed a whole bunch of singers. And several times during that, there'd be this rabbi singing a song with an Arab rapper, like arm in arm, shoulder to shoulder, holding each other, singing the song together. Art is clearly transcending the situation, and there's plenty of people there, and there's nothing but it looks like a festival anywhere else. It's just this has been going on for a long time, and complex situation. But
So you don't have a solution.
no, I got to read up more, but I won't solve anything. No.
Okay, maybe Judge Graham Bosworth could help out.
Could be judicious.
So it's
I'll
a
be
Solomonic decision.
Sure, why not?
What religion did you grow up with? Anything?
My family was Episcopalian growing up.
That's a good one, isn't it?
I don't know.
It's got a bit of it's got a bit of everything.
There's a little bit of
Got a good
everything.
name.
It's-
Don't you
it's-
think, Charlie?
it's by and large,
I have no idea.
I like that because it's like Catholic.
love
light.
everybody. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's
Love everybody.
hey, I mean, honestly, I mean,
It's like Catholicism, but it's not so heavy.
it
Do
was,
they have
it was
saints?
incredibly accepting. I guess they do have saints. I'm not the best at
Cecelia, what did you grow up as?
There's nothing better than Catholicism.
Catholicism is the
I grew up
greatest.
as a Catholic. That's
Yeah.
the best religion in the
It's
world.
the total number one. Are
It
you
is.
still into it?
Oh, are you joking? Every day. I mean,
Every-
it's the only religion that I can sin as much as I like,
Yeah.
and then just say I'm sorry.
On Sunday. Do you go to confession?
Hey, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you,
So
do
you,
you ever?
like it
Only
because
if I'm
of the
feeling kind of
loophole.
kinky, I'll go to confession.
You do?
You know,
Okay.
that's a little thing in there.
This goes back to the lingerie question.
Exactly.
We're back to the lingerie. Yeah.
I got brought
Sorry
to my
to
first
your
Catholic
husband.
mass when I was like, I don't know, 10 or 11. It blew my mind. It was crazy.
What about it do you remember that was mind blowing?
I don't know. It seemed pagan is the best way to describe
Oh,
it from my
wow.
perspective.
Ritualistic with
Yeah.
no reason for ritual.
Yeah.
Yeah, I grew up Catholic.
And a
that's
lot
how
of
it feels.
sex. A lot of sex.
I don't know
There's a lot of
Half
sex
naked
and
guys hanging on the walls.
Oh,
if you
right.
go
That's
to Rome,
Jesus,
there's
you
a lot of
that's blasphemy.
orgies happening in the middle of the church. It's
Now
really
you
nice.
spent a lot of time in Rome,
I
right?
did.
Did you live between Rome and Lisbon?
Rome and Portugal. Yeah.
Yeah, for how long?
Yeah, for about 3 years.
What for? How did you come up with that? Did you
Post
pull that
Katrina.
off?
My husband's Portuguese.
Ah, you didn't get
Yeah.
sent over there by some sort of.
No, it'd been nice,
Songwriting
you know, since New Orleans was going underwater and being like, you know, where am I going to go in the rest of the world?
Oh, that's when you left.
Yeah.
Oh, so you left after Katrina instead of
Yeah.
like evacuating to
I
Mississippi.
evacuated to Lisbon.
That's a great gig. So your husband's Portuguese.
My husband's
That's how you get
Portuguese.
to have the Fernandes with an S instead of a Z.
Exactly.
Ah, I was wondering about that. Okay. All right. And what did you do while you were
What
over
did I
there?
do while I was
Yeah.
there? Well, I actually started while I was there in Portugal, I was just kind of living. And then I went back to Italy where I had actually been right before Hurricane Katrina because I met some people there and they were like, come over here, stay with us and we'll teach you all about post-production work and production work. So I got in with this really crazy small little band of people and we made some like little TV spots and things and I learned Final Cut. It was fun.
Really?
Yeah. And then I bounced back and forth and I went back to New York.
Are you like independently wealthy or something?
Oh, right. Yeah. No, I'm just one of those people who can live on almost no money.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And like I see you have a target tattooed on your wrist.
Oh, yeah.
What
that's
is that?
actually the symbol of the sun.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. From what culture is that in?
Well, actually, this is just a general symbol that's used often
Okay.
for the sun. Yeah.
Who
Yeah.
did
So
it?
it's in our culture and what have you. I was just a tattoo artist in New York. This one's for
New York?
Nui. This is the night. So it's the day and the night.
What's this one?
And this is the night. Nui.
That's the sun and that's the night.
Yeah, and Nui is arched over the world. So
Oh.
she's the potential of everything. She's the mother that
Okay.
contains everything, all the blackness that everything else derives from. And this is the sun, the spark of the light, boom, that comes in to create life.
Okay.
So between the two, you manifest.
Light and dark.
Learn something.
Yeah.
That's biblical as well.
Didn't know I was going to learn something
Yeah.
today.
And it says in my notes here that you're an 8th generation New Orleanian.
I am.
What does that mean?
That means
How
that
long
my
ago
family
was-
was here, that at least that I know of, that I've been able to track down since Spanish.
Wow.
So you're
Right,
Spanish.
but they were
you're
mulattoes
originally.
in the time of the Spanish, when the Spanish were here. So that in itself leads me to believe that they were very likely here for the French, because the Spanish were only here for like 40 years. I think a little under 40 years. So it's very likely that they were possibly here during the French. But that, the deeper you get into the documentation, the kind of harder it is to find what you need.
So what years would that have been when somebody came here first, your first family?
So the first family that I found that was here, and she was actually born here. So I don't know, like I said, I don't know anything further than that. But she's like 1780 something.
Wow. And what was
Yeah.
her name?
Her name the family name at that time that I've actually been able to do was the Morneys.
Morning.
Mm-hmm.
Just-
Morney.
How do you spell that? M-O-R?
Morney.
Morning. Wow. Okay, that sounds French, actually.
But
Or doesn't?
yes. Well, so the black side, it was the Morney family that went to that. But actually, it comes from, well, at least what I've understood to be the St. Martins came through. They were actually French.
Okay.
And they were actually well known. They had quite a large plantation.
You said there's a black side and a white side of
Oh,
your
yeah.
family?
Yeah. When I go in to look into my genealogy, there's always that. It's a bunch of mulattoes that lead up eventually to a mulatto woman and some white guy. It's constantly like that. That's just how it works in
So
Louisiana.
we'll never know who the white guy was, ever.
No, we always know who the white guy is.
Oh, we
The
do?
biggest part is, the most difficult thing to find is who the black woman is.
Okay.
Like where she came from. Where's her mama? Where's all the people? So I get to that point, I get a block. Because oftentimes she either came out of slavery or, bought her freedom. So there's always this like really big gaps. And oftentimes they weren't actual traditional marriages, though the French were not afraid to do that. So a lot of times the French did just completely marry inside, and those families got like really, really, as they say, passant blanc or completely blanc, depending on how you look at it.
And how do you get back there? Do you look to Ancestry.com?
Well, you kind of, yeah.
just church
Well, that
records
helps.
or what?
No, that helps because then there's other people in my family who already do genealogy,
Right.
but the census works a lot. I mean, it's really, really helpful.
you've done this
Marriage
yourself.
records and all
You've
kinds of
dug
stuff.
into
Yeah, you got to
this.
dig into it. Yeah.
Right.
There's actually a guy that's awesome. His name is Gregory. He's down at the main library, and that guy is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to, especially if you're black and you're in the city and you want to research this back. He really knows his stuff.
Gregory.
Yeah.
Just ask for Gregory.
Yeah.
At City Hall or the library.
The library, right? The
Go to
main
the library and ask
right
for
in
Gregory.
front, right?
How does he know this stuff? He doesn't just know.
Oh, he's
It's
been
like
studying this stuff. I mean, they know all the documents. You start talking about where you grew up and where you might have been, and then he just starts telling you where to start digging.
Okay.
That's great.
And you have to be black, though.
Well, I'm
Could you
pretty
be-
sure he can help white people too.
That's not a Title IX situation. Okay. Hey, Andrew, what did you play any music while you were over there?
Yeah, we just played for each other. We didn't have a public
do a
show,
show?
but yeah.
Did you write anything in Israel that you can?
Well, I'm working on stuff that I wrote in Israel, but didn't finish. Didn't start and finish any.
You want-
Actually, you know what? We did. We did write a song in Israel that we played for each other, but I'm not going to play that.
You're not going to play that? What are you going to play?
I'll play you a song that I finished today.
Today?
And,
Okay. You need any bass or guitar accompaniment?
No need. Let him take a break. I'll play you this little
I
simple
bet you
ditty.
Charlie can play along with anything.
You do your thing. I want to listen.
Right on.
All right. Okay. Andrew's going to get a guitar. And then when we come back after the song, what are we doing? Graham?
I don't know. You tell me.
Okay. I'll
You're
look
the
at my
boss.
notes here.
We haven't got there yet.
Maybe we can talk about murder.
Murder?
What
I can
about
talk
that?
to
You
you
interested
ad
in
nauseum
murder?
about murder.
Okay.
I do like true crime myself.
Okay, let's turn this mic around there. You do that? Thanks.
Thanks, Charlie. Thanks, Charlie.
Okay. just Open the
So this one's I guess this is like the opposite of a love song, not like a breakup song, just the opposite of a love song, maybe.
Okay.
Thanks, buddy. Maybe that's right. Turns out the heart is just a muscle, a river of blood, and love was the vessel that we sailed around until it ran aground. We all got feelings we just can't shake. We all got habits that we just can't break. Sometimes I still turn down your street by mistake. It's coming clear now to me. Nothing's truly meant to be. Lover, we're all just victims. It's all just a symptom of our muscle memories. Mm. Mm. If you told the lion at the zoo you could bust him out and he'd be king of the jungle, what you think he'd do? I bet he'd think it over for a day or two, and then he'd decide to stay right there in his cage. And so would you, if the cage was all you knew. I'm starting now to see nothing's truly meant to be. It's all just a symptom. We're all just
just victims of our muscle memories. Turns out the heart is just a muscle.
Andr Duhon back on top. That's great. What did you think, Charlie?
I thought that was amazing. The line verse. That's man.
Yeah,
that's
Thanks,
good
buddy.
stuff, man.
Yes,
Yeah.
great lyrics.
Your voice is beautiful.
I probably stole that idea from that Life of Pi book when he talks about when they used to like own the zoo, and he talked about he felt bad as a kid that the animals were stuck in the zoo, and his dad explained to them that if they let them out, they would run around and be scared because they wouldn't have their home anymore, and all they would want is just to get back into their cage, And what an interesting thing about living things, and don't we recognize that in ourselves?
Yeah, that's about fear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Everyone's
fear of the unknown.
Scared to leave the known.
Yeah.
Even if it's
Institutionalization.
what's that?
Institutionalization.
Right.
Mhm.
That's what it's called.
Exactly.
Even if you're in jail, you're scared to get out because
It happens.
it's dangerous.
Without fear, we don't discover anything new, though.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. What is it? Growth is just past your comfort zone.
Yes.
Isn't that nice? Yeah.
So you have to experience fear.
Mhm.
Otherwise, you stay in the cage.
Learning how to welcome it is the thing, though.
Well, that's how you deal with fear. You don't
Yes.
turn to drugs or alcohol or bad behavior
Oh,
to cope
that's
with
how
it.
I used to do it.
That's what you used to do?
Mhm.
How did you get over that?
15 years ago, my band came to me and said, "We're going to quit if you don't get your shit together."
Well,
And so I did, and I went to a program, 12-step program, which I still go to this day, which I usually don't talk about in public, but you asked, so,
okay. And it was all fear based. Did you find the drugs and alcohol?
Not all. Some was physical and mental addiction that's kind of unexplained.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Do you need an explanation to get over it, or can you just quit?
No, you can't just quit. I mean, some people can't. I can only speak for myself. I couldn't just quit. No.
But did you need an explanation for the cause? Like you needed to know that this is caused by fear or depression or a bad childhood or something?
It was more like learning how to live life on life's terms, so you didn't go there.
Right.
Yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah.
It was all self-medication, all like distraction from reality.
Right.
So when you learn how to deal with reality, then you don't crave the
So it's
getting away.
It's behavioral then.
Some of it is, some of it's physical.
Right.
Like especially these days with the opiates. I mean, it is
Yeah,
it is
that
just
serious.
in that I didn't. Thank God I get involved in that because that is the hardest to kick because it's physical.
What is so? Have you ever tried any? Do you know people who are hooked on any of these opioids?
No, I don't know
Yeah.
any of that
Graham,
stuff.
you do.
Clients
The
at the
dead
wazoo.
guy. You do. You have clients who are hooked on this
Yeah.
stuff. Okay, so what is so great about it?
I'm not even sure if it's great. I mean, a lot of the clients I have get addicted through prescriptions. They have,
Yep.
surgery, and they have doctors to prescribe it, and they get hooked.
So it's just a physical addiction.
It is
It's
physiologically
not like when you
devastating.
get high and you feel so great you just want to do it again.
No, it's
I mean-
both. It's all that.
I mean, I
It
think
is?
there's definitely chasing the high, but there's also the physical need. I mean, I have had, soccer moms who end up in court facing felony charges because they just get addicted.
Wow.
They-
Grant,
Yes,
they say
zero.
fentanyl is 50 times stronger than heroin.
Right.
Well,
So it's the high, I think.
yeah.
But there's so many. How many people die a day in the United States from opioid addiction? It's some
Couldn't
crazy.
even tell you.
It's a crazy number.
Well,
I-
the thing that we need to understand is there is ways to get out of it, and there's ways to help. You just first you gotta ask. You know what I mean? So
Right.
that's the point that if
Recognizing
we're gonna talk
the
about
problem.
this. Let's get into the solution of find somebody who's been through it.
But
You
when
know?
I think about all the drug dealers who are in prison and even the people who've been addicted to drugs that are in prison, when are we going to start to prosecute people who are at pharmaceutical industries like the Sacklers?
I agree.
I mean,
Well-
that's the biggest question. It's like, okay, so heads roll if you're a small, little, tiny person with no money.
Yeah.
But your head stays on and you continue to live your life. And so many people are dying in this country, and we just turn a blind eye because, it's okay what
Well,
they're
how about
doing.
the question of weed is becoming legal? What about the guys that got put in prison for illegal weed? Do they get out?
They should not only get
You
out,
see
but
what I'm
everything
saying?
should be completely expunged, and this
And-
society owes them rehabilitation.
I've gotten in trouble for putting on Facebook of things I observe in other countries because I didn't start traveling the world until I was 42. But God forbid I say.
How old are you now?
I'm 48.
Yeah.
Jesus, you look good. You look good. You look super young for a guy who's been up late.
You ought to see me on the radio. It's great. But I've been to Scandinavia where I don't even want to get started, but they all have health care. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying what I observed. The main thing I observed in Finland was a row of bicycles not locked up. And I could not understand.
They're actually locked up. There's this tiny little click that goes in the back wheel that you don't notice, and that's how they lock the bikes.
They
I
have,
lived in Sweden for a long time.
but a lot of those guys just have bikes just lined up with no locks.
Huh?
When I was in Finland.
Okay.
I was in Finland. I don't know
Yeah,
about
that's true.
Sweden.
Sweden and Finland may be different.
But and I asked why don't they lock them? Because why would they lock them? I'm like, man, I live in New Orleans. If you don't like the tires, they take the tires. You know what I mean?
Hey, listen, we have to get out of here. These guys are going to be in the wind-up in a minute. Charlie, you've got time to play one more song for us
Sure,
before we go? Okay. I'd love to hear that. Oops, let me get this glass out of your way before there's trouble. What do you want to play? Arsene, are you going to play?
I'm going to do a
No?
little solo for you this time.
Okay.
You're done. Already done it. Yeah.
What's the microphone situation here?
Oh, here.
Okay.
By the way, I'll be at Sidebar tonight at 9 o'clock with 3 bass players and a drummer. So, yeah.
What? Are you kidding?
No, I'm not.
Tonight is, what is the date today? It's the 5th of September, 2018.
Arsene and I will be at Chikiwawa Friday night at 8.
That's Friday, the 6th of September or something. 7th of September?
This song-
2018, if you're listening.
This is a song called Peja. It's about my neighbor's dog when I was going through a hard time, and he came and sat on my lap, and I wrote this music. So.
Oh my goodness. The incomparable Charlie Wooton. That is just crazy, isn't it, guys? Really? Beautiful.
Couldn't imagine.
Isn't it just, it just looks so easy as well.
I can barely play scales.
That really is, you're an amazing musician.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Incredible.
Appreciate
What an honor. Thank you so much for being here.
it. Thank you for having me.
This has been a great show.
This is really
Charlie
cool.
Wooton has been here. Andrew Duhon's back from the Holy Land. You
Yeah.
look a little messianic yourself,
think?
actually.
Is it Duhon
Yeah, I
or
got
Duhon?
Duhon.
It's
Well,
Duhon up there, but
depends on
Duhon
whether you want
down
people
here.
to Google
Where
it
you
or not. My pops is from Lafayette, from Erath.
Oh, yeah, bro.
But I grew up in Metairie.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
Well, I can always go back.
Erath would have been a lot more fun. Trust me.
Yeah,
I've
spent-
spent a lot of time there.
Spent some summers in Erath for sure,
Yeah.
growing up. Yeah,
Well, it's good to have that. You could be able to go back and forth to have a real culture to come from like that,
totally.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Not like us. Well, you've got 8 generations of it. Cecelia
Oh, you
Fernandes
kidding?
with
You
an S.
kidding? The Seventh Ward is full of all kinds of stuff to
Right.
be proud of.
Now, what about you, Judge Graham Bosworth?
I'm European mutt.
European mutt?
European
Okay.
mutt. I think my mom's family dates back to the French here in New Orleans. Probably
Maybe
late
you guys are
1700s.
related.
Maybe so. You never know.
That would be good to find out.
Possible.
Hey, let me just tell you about what happened here today. Strategic Resumes made this possible. If you want to sharpen up your resume, your LinkedIn profile, or other job search skills, start at Strategic Resumes. And if you want to get away, start at Travel Central in Metairie. Basic Swim and Gym has a full range of fashion swimsuits, workout and yoga clothes, and also lingerie, of course. Cecelia. They're on Magazine Street near Jefferson Avenue. Hangover Destroyer is the only all-natural product medically proven to prevent a hangover. Go to hdestroyer.com and you write the words happy hour on the coupon code and get yourself 30% off of Hangover Destroyer. And thank you to Positive Vibrations Foundation, who create and encourage community through the development and preservation of arts, music, culture, and heritage. And once again, if you'd like to go to our Patreon page, which is at patreon.com, and search for It's New Orleans Happy Hour, you can find information about how to become a member of our Patreon Happy Hour family. False River is a new record that's out by Andrew Duhon, who you might remember is sitting right across from me here. It's available wherever music is stolen. You can get that, Charlie. You should-
Chick-fil-A? False River?
No, well, inspired by, roughly speaking.
So there you go. Charlie, we can find you at charliewooton.
CharlieWooton.com, and you can spell it T-O-N or T-E-N, and it'll take you there.
You've got both of those
Well, because it's spelled
very
T-O-N,
smart.
but everybody spells it wrong. So,
because of Victor Wooten.
one of my heroes, absolutely.
That's so funny. So you own both of those URLs. You own
Yes.
Wooten and Wooten.
Yes.
That's pretty smart. Hey, thanks for being here. Hopefully we get to see you again when the new record comes out. Graham Bosworth, we're going to
Thanks.
vote for you for judge, especially
Thanks.
if you can.
Apparently, I'm on Twitter.
If you can get us, especially if you can get us off all sorts of stuff, not in that sense. And Cecelia Fernandes, thank you so much for being here as well. That's been Happy Hour for another week. The producer of our show is Graham DePonte. Our music producers are Christian Andr and Monique Pyle. Thomas Walsh is our technical director. Asher Griffith is the Facebook Live director who put this whole thing up on Facebook, where if you listen to this as a podcast, go to our Facebook page, It's New Orleans, and you can see this all live. Andrew Searock is our fact checker and social media connector, and our theme music was written by and is currently being played by Mitch Foreman. If you'd like to be on our show and you can stay upright for approximately an hour while drinking alcohol, drop us a line. Our address is on our website, itsneworleans.com, where you can also check out many other hours of Happy Hour we've recorded previously, as well as some other shows we make around here, including Out to Lunch with Peter Raschuti, live from Commander's Palace, Louisiana Eats with Poppy Tooker, and our award-winning podcast about death called Death the Podcast. You can also find other great Louisiana podcasts at itsacadiana.com and itsbatonrouge.la. Keep up with us on Facebook and on Twitter and Instagram and a bunch of other time-sucking social media as well. On all of it, we're called It's New Orleans. You can find photos from this show on itsneworleans.com and on our It's New Orleans Facebook page. These photos were taken today by Jill LaFleur. You can find more of Jill's photos at lafleurphoto.com. If you listen to this on your favorite podcast app, thanks for subscribing to us. We do appreciate that. Take a moment, if you've got one, to rate and review us. That helps other people find us. Our show was recorded live today at Wayfair on Ferret Street in Uptown New Orleans. Happy Hours, a production of INO Broadcasting for itsneworleans.com. For Andrew Duhon, everyone else around the table here at Wayfair and back at our office at INO Broadcasting. And Arsène Delay was here. I forgot to mention that. Arsène, thank you. We'll see you back here in a couple of weeks, I think. Anyway, we'll get on to that later. Thanks for joining us. It's been Happy Hour for another week. I'm Grant Morris. I'll see you back here next week for more Happy Hour.